I'm Cindy Brown, and I'm the Director for the Gulf of Mexico program for the Nature Conservancy. I graduated from Duke's Nicholas School of the Environment in 1993 with an MEM.
Grand Isle is the only inhabited barrier island along the coast of Louisiana. It's a very important area, obviously, not just because of that fact and the fact that it protects a lot of the inland marshes, which provide so much habitat for our fisheries, but it also supports a very large economy. A lot of oil and gas activity comes through that island. There's a very robust recreational fishing economy that thrives on Grand Isle, so it's important for a whole host of reasons. We're going to be putting about 1.5 miles of a living shoreline of oyster reefs in order to protect what's left of the marsh there. We've seen a tremendous loss of marsh on the backside of Grand Isle, and we're installing these living shorelines in order to keep further erosion from happening and hopefully to trap sediment so that we're actually going to be building marsh. But in the meantime, we're going to be building terrific habitat for fish, helping to improve the water quality along that island.
We've lost 85% of all of our shellfish reefs globally. It's the most imperiled marine ecosystem type in the world. When we realized that, we realized, wow, we're losing really the architects of these ecosystems. Oyster reefs are very much like coral reefs. They provide habitat, they provide structure so that shorelines, soft shorelines are better protected. They cleanse water. They're critically important for these ecosystems.
The oyster industry was once thriving along the East Coast. You can really sort of follow the march of the demise of the oyster industry starting up around Long Island where we first settled the East Coast. You see as the population started to spread out further and further to the south, that industry eventually would just dry up right behind them. And what we're afraid we might be seeing now is basically the demise of that industry coming on down into the Gulf Coast if we don't quickly sort of get a handle on it.
The northern Gulf of Mexico is pretty much the only place left in the world where we can restore this ecosystem. It's relatively healthy. We have a thriving commercial fishery, and we think that there is hope for not only putting oyster reefs back into this ecosystem so that they provide us with all of the functions that they once did, but that we can also have a commercial industry alongside of it. In this instance, the treatment consists of rebar-based cages that are about 2 feet in height and about 5 feet in width and are filled with oyster shell. There's a bag that slots down into some pockets in the sides of this unit that are filled with oyster shell, which provide the basis for oyster spat, oyster larvae, to set. The best substrate of all for oysters to grow are other oysters. Being from New Orleans and having gotten my graduate education from Duke University, I think really allowed me to take into account different worldviews. I've worn a variety of hats, but all of those jobs have really required me to be able to think in a very multidisciplinary way. Certainly the ecology and conservation of these wonderful ecosystems is the primary focus, but in order to do that work, we can't operate in a vacuum. We have to consider the economics, the social issues that the folks that depend on those resources. Legal issues have been a huge consideration for us in a lot of the projects that we've done. And really the fact that I was exposed to all of those different fields while at Duke, while I can't say that I'm an expert in any one of those fields, certainly allowed me to understand the interconnectedness of all of these different disciplines and to take that appreciation into my job.